Alright guys, we are live. Let's play some Final Fantasy XIV, the major patch, and then the major maintenance patch, and then the emergency maintenance patch have all been finished. So I'm looking forward to getting some playtime in. I actually haven't read the patch notes yet. I'm not exactly sure what all changes were made. I assume this is all in prep for Endwalker. So if I know anything from all my years playing WoW, World of Warcraft, then this would be how they build up the game, prepare the game for the next expansion. So Endwalker, and that's my guess, is why they're doing all this maintenance and all of these changes and these big patches. And so they don't have to load such a massive expansion all at once and take the game down for several days. They do it gradually, prepping some of the stuff that you may not notice or may remain hidden. So they, in the patch notes, tell you all the changes they're making, but on the back end, they're also making a lot of prep, or doing a lot of prep for the next expansion at the same time. More than likely. Alright, so this is the story quest. And here we are, so our goal is to travel northwest. Let's go ahead and do it. Don't think I can get there by going through here. This is a building, not a... Yeah, not an exit. Okay, now I know where I am. I'm going to the church, where Cid is located. So, let's go ahead and go there. I'm hoping we get to start the quest to find the airship for Cid's airship, so we have our own personal airship to fly around. To me, that's kind of the beginning of the end for a Realm Reborn storyline. So, hopefully we've gotten to that point. So, the Scions were invaded. I came back from my previous mission, and the Scions had been ambushed and taken out by one of the main bad guys. It was a girl. Minfilia was captured, and a lot of other people were killed. So I came back to find that, and then I came here, I guess, looking for help. So it's up to me to save the Scions, and I just got here. Then again, I do have the Echo, so hopefully that'll help me out. And to me, I guess the Echo is basically just kind of like touched by the goddess, that crystal, touched by the crystal. So the enemy doesn't have an effect on me. Whatever magic they use isn't as powerful or doesn't impact me as much, so I can resist it easier. Kind of like a passive effect that's always on. I can see through their illusions or resist some of their enchantments or whatever. But the Echo, I guess, if I had to explain it, it would be a passive magical protection that's always on me because of my association or my contact with the crystal. Which I guess in this game is kind of like a goddess. Because it's not just a crystal, obviously. It's like a crystal at the formation of the world or something. It's kind of like Mother Nature, I guess, in a way. Marquet has a personal request to make of me. And after that, you get a nice weapon. Yep. Okay, so I gotta take the coin purse to the traveling goldsmith. You know what? Might as well teleport. Let's just get there faster. I have plenty of gil. I don't really have to worry about teleportation costs. Okay. There we go. So I feel like we're getting pretty close to the end of A Realm Reborn. I feel like we're Getting pretty close to that. So the next couple of episodes or live streams should be pretty exciting. So if you're not entertained by this content, then come back and check out the next one. I'm pretty sure we're getting close to the exciting content where we do the group dungeons, we do the raids. Or they're not called raids in this, they're called, hold on, trials. So we start doing the trials at the end of A Realm Reborn. So it's about to start getting a lot more exciting, I think. Also, I am now a summoner and a scholar. So I did figure out scholar healing a little bit. I've done a couple of duties, or dungeons, I guess, as a healer. So scholar healing is pretty easy. Unfortunately, it's also very boring so far. But better than waiting for half an hour in line for a dungeon group. As a healer, it's pretty much instant. So at least I get around having to wait. Okay, so we brought him a piece of technology that he was able to work with effortlessly, and he's confused by that because his hands kind of moved on their own. Like, he knows the technology, but he lost his memory. So he doesn't know how he knows what to do, but he knew what to do. Interesting. I wonder if that's a thing. People lose their memory, and then they remember how to do things, but it's like muscle memory. So they do it, but they're not having to think about it. It's kind of a weird feeling. That is weird. Like, chocobos don't have front legs. So that was interesting armor for a chocobo. Okay. Sister Eluned is going to tell me a story. I gotta speak with a merchant outside the Waking Sands. Okay. I think we're going back to where the Scion's base is. It's the Waking Sands, but for some reason on the teleport ticket that they give you to go back, it's called Vesper Bay. So I guess Vesper Bay, or Waking Sands, is the base inside of Vesper Bay. You know, I watch a lot of videos and classes, master classes and whatnot, on writing, because I'm an aspiring writer. And Brandon Sanderson, if any of you read his books, he does a class, and he's a college teacher, I believe in Ohio. Or no, is it Ohio or Oklahoma? No, it's Utah, sorry. The Mormon state. So I believe he's teaching at a college in Utah. And he records his classes and posts on YouTube. He has a channel on YouTube. When COVID happened, they had to stop having class, so he progressed to a lot of solo videos on YouTube of just himself interacting with answering questions and just doing like a podcast sort of thing. But before that, he was recording and uploading all of his classes, and that was it's really good content, man. If you're looking to be a writer, or if you're just interested in the writing process, and if you like Brandon Sanderson or science fiction and fantasy, I definitely recommend going on YouTube and taking a look at that. It's just super awesome. So as a writer watching that, let's see, I gotta carry the corpses to the carriage at the entrance to Vesper Bay. Okay. He talks a lot about naming. Naming is very important. So when you come up with a naming convention where the names are all similar to each other, and yet they're very unique and not something you'd see in the real world, or at least something you've probably never encountered in the real world. But it's familiar enough because it follows a convention, right? So you have like this naming convention, but it's unique, right? So that I'm reminded of that concept and like how important that is to a story, to get people invested in the story. Look at all these fallen scions. I just realized what I'm doing. I'm carrying the corpses of all the dead scions to that wagon. This is super sad, actually. This is like super sad. This just hit me what I'm doing right now. Wow. but huh. Well, as I was saying, the names like Vesper Bay, Waking Sands, not this guy, obviously, disconcerted coachman, but like that's a real person, so I can't really use that. But I think that's a randomly generated name, or maybe a fictional name that person liked from a story they read. I'm not sure. But the naming convention in Final Fantasy, a lot of the names are similar. I mean, they're all unique, and they're obviously really weird, but they also sort of sound similar to each other within the story. So it makes the world... Gotta go all the way back there. It makes the world more believable and personal. It makes it feel less like a made-up story and more like a real place that you're just visiting, or some random author didn't make up this story. It's like they're telling you the history of a real place. Kind of like this may have actually happened in some way, in some form. It makes it more realistic, or at least your mind interprets it unconsciously as having more, I don't know, not impact. Realism, I've already used that word a lot. There's another word for it that I'm thinking of. I can't remember the name right now. Depth, that's the word. So there's more depth to the realism of the world, the more things in it feel as if they are from that world, right? So when you're writing a science fiction story, like for instance, as Brandon Sanderson likes to say, the more unique things you can put in the story that are unique to that story and to that world, the more real the world becomes. So if you've got a world full of dogs and cats, for instance, so what? It's not going to be a separate world. It's just going to be a version of the same world people already live in. They already had dogs and cats. But if you make all the dogs six-legged, if you give all the dogs 6 legs, and all the cats have 4 ears, or just something super simple, right? Or it's not dog, it's dog, right? With an E on the end, or who knows? Like, you just make it super unique and at the same time familiar. Simple things like that. The more you do that, the more real the world is from a fictional story writing standpoint. Where am I going? I think I passed it. Okay, so I'm actually supposed to go back here. Let's go ahead and just teleport. I saw a blue line. I think it was a fate. I think the fate ended by the time I got there, but... Alright, so we're going here. So, I was just looking at all the different names in Final Fantasy. And it makes the world have a lot more depth to it. They could have used simple names. They could have used really similar names to the real world and just borrowed from that. But they went really crazy sometimes with the names. And you're like, it's just fantasy, right? Everything is like that in fantasy. There's a reason for it. And authors, or at least teachers, that I've seen say it has a lot to do with making the world have more examples within itself that you can't pull from your own life, so you have to pull from within the story. So for instance, in Brandon Sanderson's book series that I think made him famous, the first book series that really got him discovered was of this girl that uses metal, interacts with metal. It's kind of like a magical power, but they do pushing and pulling of metal objects, and they use this, and like for instance, she flies kind of like hopping. She drops pennies on the ground and then pushes against the penny, but because the penny is hitting the ground, it pushes her up, and so she drops pennies and she does this to fly. And it's just an interesting concept. But instead of just using something you've seen before, right, instead of just saying she uses her magical powers to fly, he made it slightly more unique. She pushes off of pennies on the ground. And that little detail, by itself, may not seem like a big deal. But when you do that 100 times, and every little detail is slightly different, it just makes the whole thing blend together into this world that comes alive. He's got an epic series that I think he's got several short stories within this book series now, but I think he's into book 4. I haven't read it yet. I did buy it, but it's just so long. Like, you have to, like, when I start a book, like, I want to finish that book before I move on to another one. But it's a huge commitment, right? Because these books are so dense, full of characters and details, and, like, you really have to absorb it. And these books are over 1,000 pages long in some cases. So, like, it's a project. When you decide to read one of these books, you know you're going to be sinking a lot of time into it. So, I think he's 4 books in. Could be 5, but I think it's 4. But anyways, the Kingslayer, I think it's the Kingslayer series, or I can't remember right now. I do think it's the Kingslayer series, or is the Kingslayer the name of the first book? Right now I can't recall. But anyways, his latest epic series that he's writing is excellent, and I'm mentioning it as an example of how unique authors will sometimes make their worlds. It's called world crafting. Sorry, I got distracted for a second. I want to go to Scholar and update this gear set as well. Okay, let's go back to Summoner. Okay, so it's in here. I was looking at the map. This is the main story quest. So Brandon Sanderson, if you read his latest epic series, talks a lot about world building and crafting worlds, and it's so unique. Like, the girls in a portion of the world cover their left hands, right? Because their left hands are sacred. And if they reveal their left hand to you, oh my gosh, now you have to get married. Like, it's worse than sex. So, like, it's so crazy, some of the stuff he comes up with, but it really makes the world come alive. And so Final Fantasy does that in a lot of ways as well. Down there. Can I jump? Can I? Yes. So I was just reading Vesper Sands and Waking Sands and Vesper Bay, and just a lot of these names in Final Fantasy, and it's just reminding me of a class that I watched with Brandon Sanderson's college class, where he talks about the reason why people do that in fantasy and science fiction. And it's to make the world come alive. Something as simple as unique names. So, I know a lot of you who might watch this video probably are not interested in writing science fiction or fantasy, or don't know Brandon Sanderson or any of that, but I love talking about books. If there's anything I can talk about forever, it is books. So right now, while I'm just grinding through the main story quest, and I'm trying to find things to talk about, because I'll be honest, the main story quest is boring me a little bit at the moment. I'm not super invested in the story at this exact moment. Something about it just started to blend together. Actually, somebody's at the front door. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So, with the main story quest boring me right now just a bit, I guess my mind was just gravitating towards what I love to talk about. And a lot of the time that's books. Alright. Alphanod, right?
I fondly hoped that I might be the first to speak with you. Would that I had been so fortunate.
Looks like Alphanod also survived.
At ease, adventurer. I come not on behalf of the Empire. On the contrary, I mean to revive the scions of the Seventh Dawn. And to that end, I have come in search of a legend. The greatest engineer of our time, Master Cid Garland. I have come for you.
I fear you are mistaken,
Huh.
child. He is but a poor soul who bore witness to the horrors at Cartano. I beg of you, leave us in peace.
Wait, Hear me, Cid. Eorzea needs you.
Oh, come on, Sid, get your memory back. You can do it. Did it happen? He's acting drunk. He seems offended.
Cid, was it? Here. These belong to you. I thought you bore the mark of greatness. It seems that I was right.
Oh, that's nice.
Our time together was all too brief, but it felt as though my son had returned to me. You have brought joy to an old man's life.
I'm not a fan of this voiceover for this character. It sounds like somebody else's voice, and he was trying to double as a second character, so he just made his voice artificially higher. It just doesn't come across as real. It comes across as fake.
But it is time for you to help those who truly need you.
Theodore, quiet.
Who are you?
Alphino Leveilleur, at your service.
Oh my goodness. It sounds French, doesn't it? Alphino Leveilleur? Yeah, it's very French.
As a scion of the Seventh Dawn, I stand against our primal and imperial foes, as my grandfather once did. 'Tis no secret what befell our order at the Waking Sands. Word has already spread across Eorzea. The repercussions are far greater than you realize. In the wake of the calamity, the three city-states focused their efforts solely on reconstruction, leaving the scions to combat the primal threat unaided.
Yeah, okay.
And lo, we are all but destroyed. Yet even as the nations mourn our demise and abandon what little hope they have left, we cannot forsake our duty, now least of all.
Right, okay.
The Ixal have summoned Garuda once more, and she torments the people of Kurthus as we speak.
What? That hasn't been that long. All of a sudden, she's been summoned already?
Her appetite for destruction far exceeds that of other primals.
Okay.
Worse, in her present incarnation, our Baldessian colleagues believe she surpasses both Ifrit and Titan in strength. Yet, therein lies an opportunity. Were we somehow to defeat Garuda, it would serve as a warning to the other beast tribes that even their mightiest gods can be felled.
Okay.
If we are to face our foe, we must first circumvent the tempest that shields her sanctuary.
Okay. So she's guarded by a
And
tempest.
for that, we need an airship. Your airship, Cid.
I have an airship?
Yes.
Yes, Cid, you do. Your very own airship.
In every single Final Fantasy game.
It was last seen in the skies over Gridania, not long before the calamity. So let us begin our search there.
An airship? My airship?
Snap out of it, Sid. Come on.
Oh, wait.
If I remember right, he comes back. Yeah, he's wearing his outfit. Looking good, Sid.
Come, let us put an end to the primals. Together, we will show the world that the Scions are still a force to be reckoned with.
Yes. Let's go, Alphanor. Alphanor Levelier. I'm saying that so wrong, I think. Levelier.
They need my airship. They need me.
That's cool. I like how they ended that cutscene with him realizing that he is special and that people need him. That's really cool. So he didn't just gain his memory back. He realized his worth as a person, his worth as a character. That's a good distinction. That's a really nice positive note to establish his character. The final flight of the Enterprise. Oh my gosh. I mean, I doubt they meant that to be a Star Trek reference, but it's hilarious anyways. Huh. Alright. Speak with Aethel Mare in Fallguard Float. Alright, you got it. Let's go to Fallguard Float. At the edge of the world. I mean, it's not really the edge of the world, but it looks kind of like the edge of something because of all the stuff floating in the air. It's really cool. But it's kind of like on the edge of space, it feels like. There's just some sort of magic happening there. I can't remember what, but there's some sort of magic. I think it's the after effects of the war, actually. I think maybe some weapon was used and it changed the landscape. But I think it's the after effects of the war, the calamity. If we went that way, you'd see it. The Enterprise, yes. Yes. Kirk! I need to speak to Kirk or Spock, one of the two. Yes, I do know my Star Trek from my Star Wars. Okay. Not interested in the fate. So that way is where you start to see the edge and where stuff is floating. Well, we need to go this way. I'm interested in the quest. Okay. Alright. No real upgrades in gear for my class. So... Oh! Guys, I learned something really important and also very cool. Down there. Okay. Camp Dragonhead is unattuned. Is this the snow area? Are we about to go into the snow area? That would be cool. Observatorium. Yeah, okay, let's go. Coerthus Central Highlands. And all of a sudden, it's snowing. I guess we came from that way. Sometimes the transition between areas feels not real. Or at least you look back and you're like, no, that's not what it looked like a second ago. Alright, so going for the gold, that's, I believe, to unlock a dungeon. So I'm going to go do that real quick. I believe there might be some hunting log to do in this area. Yes, right here. Central Highlands, Dragonhead, Snow Wolf Pups, Feral Crocs, Taurus. So 3. Feral Crocs, Taurus, and Snow Wolf Pups. There we go. It's a Snow Wolf. I just need a Snow Wolf Pup. It's too high level though. I think 46 is too high. I need to go to the other area where they're a little bit lower level to find my hunting log. Those are probably for the next level gap or level tier of hunting log. Now, what dungeon does this unlock? Ooh, I think it's that really difficult one. This is when you finally encounter a dungeon that's actually pretty difficult, if I remember right. Okay, a ring, necklace. Let's do item comparison. Yeah, it's a definite upgrade over my previous necklace. So I'll take it. Yes, the Arum Veil. If I remember right, this is pretty difficult. The Arum Veil. Guild tests. No, there's no new ones yet. I did finish the Solemn Trinity already, because it doesn't have that first time completion reward listed. So I am actually fully finished on the guild tests. Got all of them done. Arum Veil. I'll go ahead and queue for that while I'm questing. As a DPS. 6 minutes? I'm not so sure about that. We'll see. That usually goes up. But hey, I unlocked a new difficult dungeon. That'll be fun to do. Alright, let's go here. Is there a teleport? No. No teleport to get. That's unfortunate. Have to go to the next city to get the teleport. I meant to talk about before how Sid and his airship are in every single Final Fantasy game in some form or another. And that's a cool recurring theme, or I guess person, an event. First time I saw him was in Final Fantasy VII, but they find some way to include him in every game. And that's really cool. It's a way to make the world have more depth. 532. That's a pretty good hit. Okay. Let's find some more target. Ooh, no. There we go. Wow, nice. Good hit. Ifrit. He does not hit like a wet noodle. So I'll put him in the rotation. Assault 1 is the single target one for Ifrit, and then Assault 2 is the AoE one. But the AoE hits just as hard on single target. The only difference, it has a 50% damage that's shared with surrounding enemies. So the AoE is actually really weak. So I just use it as a second single target burst. Okay, so that's kind of an upgrade. I'm not sure how much, but every upgrade is good. Wait, what's this? Fort of Fear. Okay. I think he's inside the building? It's a blue quest. I want to see what he unlocks. Yeah. This is unlocked for a dungeon. Okay. Let's see. Okay, let's go back and unlock this. Meanwhile, Story quest wants me to go look for the missing knight, which is actually on the way. Perfect. Missing knight. Oh good, he's still alive. I had a suspicion he might not be. Okay. So I spread the dots, that was super helpful, and that already popped. That's actually very surprising. I got 34 seconds to respond. I'm managing to spread the dots really well. There we go, you saw the AoE ability from the pet. It's like a globe or fire, it's really cool looking. Boom. No. 11, 10. Come on, come on, come on. Finish talking. Go, go, go. Alright, cool. I wanted to get that completed. Let's do the dungeon. I get to do it as a DPS, which is nice. Not gonna lie, Scholar is pretty boring healing so far. It's easy, and it's really nice to have a pet that heals for you. My fairy will cast Embrace, which is a heal, on the lowest HP ratio target at the time. So it's an automatic overtime heal, which is super nice. A really good mechanic for a healer. Leaves me free to focus on shields and single target heals to health, and then I don't have to worry about some targets because I know they're going to get healed, so on and so forth. It's really cool mechanic that I like. But it leaves me free to DPS instead of heal some of the time. With the only downside, being that the DPS rotation for a Scholar at low level is really simple. Okay, I'll get some good view on that. So I know what I'm looking at. I already pulled aggro off the tank. Is the tank running around? Yeah, he's got Iron Will up, so he should be pulling aggro, but he's not. Okay, so this is the difficult one, right? That's why we're here, is to have some fun doing a difficult dungeon, but we might run into some challenge. Okay. So I managed to not pull any other enemies. I'll take that as a win. We're trying to avoid some of the enemies and skip them so we don't have to fight them. Hard to see what's going on sometimes. Uh-oh. We attracted some unwanted attention, it looks like. I'm gonna kill that target before we do more. Alright. Alright. Looks like the healer is getting the aggro instead of me this time. I'll take that as a win. I don't want us to attract this big toad. Looks like we attracted the toad. I mean, I was actually looking at it, hoping that we wouldn't. I know it wasn't me, so it wasn't my fault. But I mean, now we're gonna DPS it down, so man, healer is taking some fire. Try not to go over this purple line here. We're really close. That would, I think, start the boss battle, or at least lock us into that area so we wouldn't be able to continue damaging this. So try not to go over that line. Okay, I think we're good. Here we go. This fight, can't remember exactly how it goes, but those fruits are important. I think if I get debuffed, I have to go eat a fruit. That's how that works. Alright, let's just kill this thing as fast as possible. Maybe now we can see what's going on a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna go eat a fruit. Okay. I'm looking at these debuffs on the enemy, but I'm also looking at the debuffs on me. Here we go. Gold lung. That's the debuff on me. It's at 1. I'm at 2. I need to go eat a fruit. There's one. Okay. All status ailments are healed. Excellent. Okay. Back to the rotation. I've got 1 stack of gold lung. Still at 1 stack. Okay, we've got all our abilities in here, which is really nice. I'm at 2 stacks. Okay, we're gonna eat this fruit. Burst the boss down with the Fester. And then a single target Eggy Assault, and then a final Fester, and it should be dead. There we go. Good stuff. Tank almost died there. That was close. Good fight. I pushed that pretty close to the limit there at the end. Almost took a lot of damage. Well, I did take a lot of damage. I almost died. Cool. Alright, I gotta zoom in a little bit. Alright, so a new ring. This. I'm definitely gonna need on that. That's nice. Agreed on that. And nice. We'll do that and then we'll update. We're getting new gear, guys. We're getting stronger. Average item level of 34 right now on this class, or this job. That's really good. Okay. I don't have any AoE abilities yet as a summoner. Outburst, I think, is my AoE ability, but I don't really get to continue my class quests as a summoner. Oops. Until we beat Titan. And then Garuda, I think. So I need to finish those two. So I need to progress further in the main story in order to unlock more of my class. Unfortunately, I think it's one of the only classes that has those restrictions based on main story quest progression for unlocking more of your class. So that's kind of bad. But one of the cool things that I found out recently about my chosen class to level up is that leveling up as Arcanist, the base, is actually the only class in the game that levels up 2 jobs at once. When you level up Summoner, you also level up Scholar. It's the only 2 classes in the game that are linked like that, so you level up 2 classes at once. So that's really cool. I'm glad I chose a class that's going to be more efficient in the long run and allow me to unlock more for less effort. So that's nice. Alright, come on. I pulled aggro, but that's okay. Release some of the damage on the tank because he pulled a lot. And this is not an easy dungeon. So the healer's working hard. Oh, tank's almost dead. Alright, so I got a dot and then spread that dot. I'm trying to burst, do some damage, get these things off the board so the tank stops taking damage. Looks like we did it though. It was close, we did it. What class is he? I think he's a white mage. Okay. What's this? I'm gonna greed that. Morbid. Oh, it's a minion? I don't need that. Okay. There's a mechanic for this guy, but I can't remember what it is. Not remember the mechanic for him. I gotta refresh my debuffs. Okay, and then energy drain is up, so I can do my main burst window. Cool. Ooh. That was a hard hit. Oh, I want to move out of that. That was cool. That lightning strike like that out of his eyeball. That looked pretty awesome. I really do appreciate cool spell effects. And Final Fantasy does a good job on spell effects, man. Their spell effects are on point. Alright, energy drain is up. I can do Fester. I wish there was DPS meters in this game. I'd love to see how my DPS stacked along with some other people's in groups. That was how I enjoyed World of Warcraft the most, was building the characters and the DPS and all that. I loved comparing my DPS meters to everybody else in raids and groups and stuff. So, I am sad that third-party mods are not allowed to do that. Now I know people do it, but you do run the risk of getting in trouble. So I'm just sad that that's not something that Final Fantasy wants you to do. I can kind of understand why. It created a desire in me to compare myself against others when they don't want you to do that. They just want you to enjoy the game together, not as competition, but as cooperation. And so they're trying to avoid some of that competitive feeling that World of Warcraft instilled in me. So maybe I wouldn't have the problems that I do now with needing to compare DPS meters to have fun instead of just enjoying the content for what it is. Like, maybe I wouldn't be having that hang up if it wasn't for World of Warcraft. You know what I mean? So maybe Final Fantasy is doing something right by not encouraging players to do that. But on the other hand, I am what I am. And currently, unfortunately, I do have that hang up where I like to compare DPS meters. Got some AoE numbers popping up a little bit. Not a whole lot, but enough. It's satisfying. Alright, I gotta refresh my debuffs on everybody. Okay. And now I am up for an energy drain, Fester, first window. That one thing's almost dead. Let's do Fester again. And then our next burst is including Eggy Assault 1. And then Eggy Assault 2. So, we did it. Defeat the Mortal Bedkeepers. 2 of them. Is that the last boss? Ooh, hold on guys. I'm gonna sprint and grab this treasure coffer. Hopefully that's an upgrade for somebody. Oh, I'm gonna get out of the line of fire here. Uh-oh. Somebody pulled that. Wasn't me. Oh man. It is a little disorienting sometimes, trying to keep an eye on everything that's going on. Like, it takes, I guess, practice, right? To teach your mind what to pay attention to in a game like this, that's a little bit chaotic with spell effects. Once you've gone through a fight or two, or once you've seen spell effects enough, you know what not to look at. Right. And then once you start raiding and it gets to be a real problem, you can turn down everybody else's spell effects where it's not as bad. So you can actually see what you're looking at. But I have it turned on right now to where I see all the spell effects because I really like them. So hopefully it doesn't bother everybody. That's what I like. Okay, so I did end up pulling something that I shouldn't have just now. Yeah, this one's my fault. Good thing these are all weak links. I'm going to try not to let that happen again. Alright, so energy drain is up. I can do my main burst window. Followed by Eggy Assault. So I am enjoying the summoner rotation. It is entertaining. It's just complicated enough to be enough of a challenge that I have to concentrate on it. But it's also just simple enough to allow me to kind of relax and talk to you guys without having to focus too hard. And also at the same time enjoy the spell effects and just play the game without having to concentrate super hard. So I will say that that is something that they did a good job on in Final Fantasy. A lot of the time, in order to get top DPS in World of Warcraft, required intense concentration to have the perfect rotation. And that got a little old, honestly, having to do that. The fights got to be kind of like a job, or at least, I guess the tank has been here before. He doesn't need any of that stuff. Or he's just got something better already. Okay. I'm gonna attack the little Veil Mike, whatever thing. Let's do some AoE. Okay. Fester is still my big hitter. Okay. Let's spread those dots. Oh, that was cool. That lightning ball or whatever it was. I think it's a Black Mage ability. Pretty awesome looking. Black Mage does have some pretty cool spell effects. I do like that. That and Red Mage. I'm not sure if I want to continue playing Summoner into the end game after I finish A Realm Reborn. I think I may want to play Machinist and Gunbreaker. So they're kind of similar in that they both use guns and machines. And I like that aesthetic, that shared aesthetic between them. Also, Gunbreaker is a really cool, fun, interactive tank class. And I like that. I do want to try tanking. I tanked in World of Warcraft a bit. I mained in Azeroth. The Azeroth expansion. It's not called, it's something Frost. Can't remember. It's like 3 expansions ago in World of Warcraft. But I mained a Feral Druid tank, which is really, really, really easy. Swipe, 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 swipe. Mangle, swipe, mangle. That's pretty much it. But, let's see, do I have a debuff? No. Okay. There we go. Furs. Does that mean I have to be moving? I can't remember if moving is a mechanic in this one or not. No. I've got 2 now. I need to eat a fruit. Okay. So a couple expansions, or a few expansions ago, in World of Warcraft, I mained Feral Druid tank. So that's my experience with tanking in WoW. Before that, I didn't really main tanking. Never really a fan of it. Mostly I just did DPS. A little bit of healing, not really very much. I did some healing as a Spirit Priest, which is or not a Spirit, sorry, Discipline Priest. Discipline Priest does shields. A lot of healing with shields. And that was fun. Okay. Trying to keep my eye on my burst window here. I need to eat a fruit. I'm at 2 stacks. Okay. I've got 1 more Fester left. And then I use my Eggy Assaults. which I'm combining with casts of Ruin, by the way, so that I tie an instant cast onto the end of a Ruin, and I only have to wait for one global cooldown. We've talked about that before. That's like the basis of DPS rotation in this game. Alright, so I've got one stack. I need to keep my eye on that. Energy drain is up. I need to stack my debuffs on the guy so that my Fester does max damage. So I can Fester. I'm at 1 stack. I'll be at 2 stacks soon. Gonna make sure I'm out of range of that. This guy's almost dead. I've got Eggy Assault 1 stack. Okay, so I'm still at 1 stack. This is good. 2 stacks now. But he's almost dead. I'm gonna go ahead and eat this fruit. If he does his AoE again while I've got 3 stacks on, I think I would just instantly die. I'm not interested in dying, so I'm gonna go ahead and eat the fruit just in case. Instead of just burning it down because it was so close to death. I'm a squishy. Awesome. That was a really fun dungeon. I'm glad we did that. Aurum Vale, what I've heard, is supposed to be one of the more difficult dungeons, but it wasn't hard for us. We did it first try. So that was nice. Good experience. Good group. I think I'm going to give my player commendation to the healer. I think they healed their butt off. They did a great job. So healer, you get the recommendation from that one, or commendation from that one. Nice, I got new legs. Item level 49. Okay. My summoner is now at item level 39. Awesome. So I'm going to switch to Scholar and update that job. Recommended gear. Okay, can't change classes until I leave the dungeon. Alright, let's leave. They call it a duty, but I can't say duty with a straight face. Because duty to me is another word for poop. So anyways. Yeah. I wasn't in a duty. I was in a dungeon. Alright, let's switch to Scholar real quick and then update our gear. 4 new gear pieces brings the Scholar up to 45. Not quite as good as... Actually, it's higher. That's higher than the Summoner. Why? Huh, I wonder what I'm able to equip with the Scholar that I can't with the Summoner. Not sure. Okay, so he wants me to go over... Oh no, that's not for the main story quest. This is just to unlock a dungeon. Which is fine. I do want to do all the dungeons at least once. There's certain things you get for completing everything. I can't remember what it is, but... Ooh. My free company is talking. I forget to check chat. Oh, that was so nice. The healer was so polite. I didn't pay attention to chat, but... Oh, they were like, this is my first time healing here. Good thing I gave the commendation to the healer. I can't believe that was their first time healing there. Either the tank was really good at using cooldowns to prevent damage, or that healer was just that good, because they did a great job. Alright, Dismail Darkhold. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and do that, level 44 dungeon. I'm going to queue as DPS. 13-minute queue. More like what I'm expecting as a DPS queue. Gives me some time to get some main story quests done while I wait for that queue to pop. So I mentioned paying attention to chat, right? Free company chat, which is like World of Warcraft's guilds, same thing. Because in World of Warcraft I was pretty much a solo player, mainly focused on doing dungeons and watching DPS meters. That was pretty much the whole game for me. So in Final Fantasy XIV, I've made it my goal to play socially. So I joined a free company pretty early on, and I've been trying to participate in chat and just group for things. Haven't really had the opportunity to yet. I'm not high enough level really to be joining in any of the trial runs that they're doing. But once I unlock trials, I'm really looking forward to doing stuff with the Free Company. They've been talking in Free Company chat about progression, and they're working on building up teams to do raids and making progression in raids. So I'm really excited to start taking part in that and just really kind of making friends. You know, joining. I'm not sure what they use for chat, but or for it's probably Discord, right? So probably joining Discord or whatever. All right, so we're doing Dismail Darkhold. Awesome. I don't remember this dungeon. I mean, I know I did it. Remember when I played Final Fantasy XIV for years ago? I got all the way up to the end of A Realm Reborn, but I didn't quite finish the trials and the raids. So, like, the last little bit of the main story quest I didn't finish. Excuse me. Alright, so the tank's going to pull, so I'm going to hold off on DPSing. I don't want to pull aggro, right? You want to join the tank, and then you want to start DPSing when the tank has the opportunity to keep aggro on himself. That's how you DPS without getting yourself killed. Okay, so I want to spread dots again. Everything's grouped up. He pulled more stuff. Now we're all taking a little bit of damage, but it looks like we're doing okay. The healer's keeping up just fine. Looks like the tank probably popped some cooldowns. I'm not really seeing anything right here. Ooh, Crystal Veil. Damage taken is significantly reduced. That seems like a cooldown to me. So he popped something to handle all the AoE damage he was taking. Not really area of effect damage, but just, you know, from the pack that he pulled. So it looks like the healers, or the tank's been here before. Yeah, look, we're all sprouts. I can see that now. That's how you tell who's been here before and whatnot. The tank doesn't have a sprout icon, but the rest of us do. So he's definitely been here before. Okay, so trying not to be in the line of fire. Alright, so went through most of my main first window. Here's a Fester, and then an Eggy Assault 2. Gotta land those debuffs though. Okay, so my spread for my diseases does not go very far. You see those numbers popping up, guys? That was a lot of burst damage just now. It's really satisfying when I can chain four spells together within about a second. That's just really satisfying to see all those numbers popping up. I do enjoy that. Okay. Alright, let's get in a good position. Good spot. Spread the dots. Lead with the Fester. Energy Drain into an Eggy Assault 2. You'll see some AoE damage popping up just now. Another Fester. We got people just about to die. Eggy Assault 1. Man, he is really taking some risks here. Alright, that one's just about dead. Gotta spread those dots again. It's about to go up. So Energy Drain isn't ready anytime soon, so I'm using Eggy Assaults to substitute for damage. Energy Drain's gonna be up after this next ruin. We all survived. That was some amazing healing. I haven't taken any damage. The tank kept all the aggro. That was awesome. Excellent. That was cool. First time I've seen really heavy multi-pack pulling in Final Fantasy. They tend to avoid that from what I've seen so far. Am I in like the line of fire or something? That thing roaming around just did some massive damage to me. The all-seeing eye. I don't think we're supposed to attack it. I think we're just supposed to avoid it. Okay, here we are. First boss. Grand Hall, I guess. So if we stay near the crystals, we don't take damage from this thing? Is that how that works? Yeah, okay, so as long as we're in the light of the crystals, I guess. Just a guess. It's invulnerable. Are we? Nope, this is the boss. Okay. Alright. So it has to be inside the crystals in order to take damage? Is that the mechanic? Okay. Two new enemies appear. Where? Don't see them yet. They're there. Okay. I'm gonna dot them up and then spread the damage with Bane. Ability right here. Energy drain does up, so I'll do that into a Fester. Both of those ads are down already. That was fast. Nobody's really taking very much damage. Reminds me of being a scholar and healing and just the tank HP not really going down because he's a good tank, right? You're just like, what am I supposed to do now? Yeah. Okay, so we're moving to the next crystal. Alright, I'm gonna dot and spread the dots. Energy drain, Fester. That ad should be down soon. Okay. Alright. We're doing some damage. We're doing it. Okay, we're gonna spread the dots. Two new ads just showed up. I'll switch targets. Make the assault 2, get some AoE damage going. Okay, those ads are down just about. I gotta redot. Make the assault. This guy's almost down. Yep, we got him. Boss 1 finished. I was watching the HP. Aside from those AoE pulls, really not difficult. Okay. I guess I'm supposed to go in here and use the Magitech transporter. Alright, avoid the explosions. Seems pretty simple. I'll dot the toad. Check the loot at the same time. Alright, a new book. I need that. A new body. I need that as well. Oops, don't need that. Okay. I'm out of the area. Okay, I have one Fester left. Get it. Boom. Alright, cool. This is a cool dungeon. I really like the appearance of this, the different levels. Like, see how open it is? Right here, it's like super open, but it's actually not, because you're restricted in where you can go. So it's not as open as it seems, but at the same time, it feels open. The illusion of a dungeon that's bigger than it seems to be. I just like it. It's multi-dimensional, so the map is less constrained. Like a lot of the maps I've done so far, a lot of the dungeons I've done so far have been like in tunnels or hallways, and it just felt like a very simple map that is very restricted, not multi-dimensional. It's just how entertaining or how cool can a hallway be, you know what I mean? But this is multi-dimensional. I like that. It's a cool design. Okay, almost done with this mob. I'm not going to bother to put dots on it. Cool. That was nice. Moving up. Alright. Let's dot everybody up. Energy drain, Fester. into a ruin and an eggy assault. I gotta take an opportunity to go past these things, I guess. Go to the other side. Yep. Good call. Ooh, ouch. Taking a lot of damage. Something's hitting me. Yep. The tank couldn't hit it, so I guess I took aggro from that thing. It was tearing me a new one. Let's take out the raptor. Yeah, it's not a raptor, it's like a small dragon or something. So, it seems like it's pretty easy to hold aggro in this game. Either in this game, I say that and then I take aggro. That's hilarious. Oh, the tank died. Healer wasn't paying attention. Or the tank stood in something. I took a lot of damage. I'm gonna heal myself. Take some pressure off the healer. Okay, well. That was close. He got a res. I'm guessing the healer burned a quick cast or something. But to compare this game with World of Warcraft, it seems like the tank has a really easy time holding aggro. So the game is more focused on tank positioning, right? To keep the friendlies or the party from getting hit by abilities. Right, so tank positioning is important. Avoiding mechanics. Interrupting the boss at certain times. Picking up aggro at certain times. But as far as maintaining aggro on a bunch of mobs, it just doesn't seem to be too difficult. And that's good. I think my experience in World of Warcraft, when I would do a lot of damage, I would constantly pull aggro off the tank. Or even as the healer. It's really easy to pull aggro off the healer as a tank, and that just gets really frustrating. Okay, so I can't change targets. So evidently I can't target these guys. Which sucks. So burn him down, I guess. That's fine. I can try that. But yeah, the game from a tank perspective seems to be more on positioning mechanics than it does on holding aggro. Which, in World of Warcraft, man, maybe not now, but in previous expansions and in the way the game used to be when I was trying to tank, or even when I was trying to DPS or heal, like tank aggro was a real problem sometimes. And that was just such a stupid, arbitrary thing to have to worry about. You know? It just made the game that much more difficult because you had to focus on that plus the mechanics plus everything else at the same time. It was too much. Too much to think about. Too many things to worry about. So I like in Final Fantasy XIV that flow, that combat flow they've got, and their priority is the mechanics and positioning and stuff like that, not on simply holding aggro. Like that's a simple thing. You know what I mean? So not having us worry about that too much, I think, is a good thing. Then again, maybe it's just because of the way they've got the questing and the dungeoning set up. We're going with very experienced tanks who know how to hold aggro. It could just be that I've got really good tanks in my groups, but personally, I think it's just the calculations and the algorithm for aggro is better in this than it is in WoW. In my opinion, it's difficult to generate enough aggro as a DPS or a healer to take aggro off the tank. If they've got enmity on, right? It says Iron Will, enmity is increased. If they have this buff on as a tank, you're gonna have a hard time taking aggro. It's just that simple. And I think that's a really smart thing for Final Fantasy. I like not having to worry about it. Take this guy down quick. Huh. I think we missed something. That Magitech terminal had a countdown, and it counted down. I think we were supposed to kill off those enemies, and then use the terminal before it had a chance to finish. I'm not entirely sure. It feels like we messed something up. Alright. There's a Magitech terminal back there. Okay, so they're counting it down. Not sure if we needed to even stand in there. Kind of doubt it. We're just being goofy. But we're all sprouts, right? All three of us, the other DPS and the healer are all sprouts except for the tank. So the tank is probably laughing at us, honestly. Why are you standing here with me? We don't know, bud. We're just doing what you do, right? It looks cool when you do it, so we thought it was the right thing to do. Alright. So right now is the period in time where my rotation is super simple, right? Because I did my initial rotation, which I'll go over again in a second, because I'm almost at the point where I need to. Okay, so what I do is miasma into bio, followed by a ruin into an energy drain fester, right? Followed into a ruin, and then Eggy assaults. Right, this one is Eggy assault 2. So yeah. Excuse me. But after you do your charges of Fester and Energy Drain, while you're waiting for Energy Drain to come back up cooldown, so you can do more Festers. Because Energy Drain gives you charges, right here, Aether charges. Ooh, it's an Astrologian. Huh, that's surprising. Astrologian's kind of an in-game class. You can't really play Astrologian until you finish the Realm Reborn. So I'm surprised that they're categorized as a Sprout. Maybe it's because you're categorized as a Sprout until you're level 70 or above? I'm not sure. Alright, he will tether to a stone, kill it, and dodge the AoEs. Alright, you got it, bud. Alright, Fester, Energy Drain to get more charges. Eggy Assault. 2 more Festers. Ruin into a Ruin. Aha, there's the stone. Okay. Good, we took it. Oh, it's almost taken down. Okay. That was a cool spell effect. That was an awesome looking spell effect. Energy Drain into a Fester, into a Ruin, into an Eggy Assault, into a Ruin, and another Fester. Yikes. That was a big heavy hit. I didn't see any indicator or anything on the ground or anything like that, so I'm not sure why I got hit by that. Why am I continuously getting hit by that? Okay. Energy Drain into a Fester, into an Eggy Assault. Let's take this thing out quick. Another Eggy Assault, good. Now I redot this guy, because his dots are expired, into another Fester. Cool. And that's the whole rotation, man. It's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 spells. Actually, I'll give you an exact number here in a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think it's 6 spells. Okay. Alright, I got a Fester. I'm his next victim? I don't want to be his next victim. No, don't make me his next victim. Yikes. A lot of stuff to avoid there. Alright. Maybe I'm doing too much damage, guys. I seem to be getting a lot of attention from the boss. Okay. Man, those grim cleavers really hurt. Buster 568, not bad. Oh, oh. Don't want to get hit by that. I gotta redo the debuffs. Okay, energy drain is up, so here comes the big burst. Good thing, because he needs to die, like, right now. Yeah, he was doing some real damage there at the end. We did it! I think that was the last boss of this dungeon. Yes! Good stuff, guys. First try. Excellent tanking by the guy who's not a sprout. He knew what he was doing. Let's see. Cool. Dark Knight sword. I think I'm actually running out of room. Yeah, I've only got a few slots left open. I need to start getting rid of my stuff. Is it possible for me to move stuff into my bags? No. It's not. I just gotta remember to clear out my space. Running out of room. Alright, so let's see if I got any more gear. Yes, I did. I got that book, guys. I got that book, and then I got that waist. Let's see what I'm at now. It's so exciting. 41. Still lower than a scholar. Can't change in here. But that was fun. So I really enjoy doing those 2 dungeons. I love group content. Love doing dungeons. Love doing DPS. That's where the fun's at for me. Okay, so let's switch to Scholar. Yep, these are upgrades for the Scholar. Update the gear set. We're at 47. Why? Why is Summoner 41? I don't see gear changing. Like, I'm watching for gear changing, and I'm not seeing anything changing at all. So why is Summoner only 41? Don't know, guys. I don't have a clue. Okay, well, back to questing. Cool. Oh, if I remember right, this guy is a bad dude. This Inquisitor, don't know how to pronounce his name at all. Guillaume? Guillaume, maybe? Yeah, because it seems to be French. A lot of these names seem to be French. I think the LL is a Y sound, and the UI is a Y. So it's like Guillaume? Guillaume? Not sure. Not positive. So it's not Josea, I think it's Josea. Then again, this isn't Spanish, so not positive. Could just be Jos. Watch all their pronunciations be super simple, like Jokia. This is Jokia, this is For les Morts. Alright. Could just be super simple. For all I know. And I know you don't die from dropping if you're not in combat, so why not just do it, right? We're gonna have 1 health, but as long as you're not in combat, you can't die from dropping in Final Fantasy XIV. Which is nice. So, I will say, to sum up a lot of the things that I've been saying about Final Fantasy XIV in comparison with... Okay, gotta go all the way over there. In comparison with WoW. To sum it up, I think Final Fantasy XIV helps the player to focus their attention on what matters, right? So there's less mechanics that are annoying that you have to focus on in the middle of combat, such as aggro, right? As long as you've got your buff on and you're a tank, you're not going to be losing aggro. And a lot of the abilities that DPS do don't use enmity, or don't generate enmity, right? So it's just not something you have to worry about. So I think Final Fantasy XIV does a good job of helping the user or the player to focus on what matters most and just enjoy the game, play the game, and not have to worry about additional little things that pull you out of the narrative and pull you out of the story. Keep it simple, stupid, right? I think Final Fantasy XIV does a good job of keeping it simple. And yet, complicated enough to be a challenge. Trials, for instance, extreme trials, some of the harder content in the game is literally next to impossible, if not literally impossible, without a trained group, right? So if you're not with a group that's run that thing several times, learning the mechanics, or watched videos studying the mechanics, if you're going in there blind with a bunch of other people going in there blind and learning it for the first time, there's no way you're finishing that extreme trial. No way at all, right? So the content in Final Fantasy XIV has a nice balance to it. The stuff that's supposed to be challenging is extremely challenging, but not because there's a bunch of little stupid things to pay attention to that you shouldn't have to pay attention to. Everything that you have to pay attention to is for a reason. It's a mechanic that has some sort of definite effect, right? So there's logic behind it. I don't want to sit in this because if I sit in this and I get hit by this, then I'm going to take more damage from this ability later on. I'm going to get one shot. Right? Or we have to share damage by going here, or we can't break the chains, or like I've seen a bunch of extreme trials videos, and there's a lot of really cool mechanics. So the content is very challenging, but it has a purpose and it has logic to it. And there's a reason. It's not just, challenging because the tank forgot to thunderstomp, right? That's a warrior ability for generating aggro at low levels. In classic WoW, anyways. But when you're playing classic WoW, for instance, as the tank, it can be a literal nightmare keeping AoE aggro on a bunch of mobs, right? And it was just, as a hunter, a huntard, as we used to call them, in World of Warcraft, especially at low levels, you're using an ability like multi-shot. The tank does not have AoE aggro. They did the pool, but that doesn't mean they have aggro on everything. That just means everything's attacking them. The minute the healer heals, or the minute the DPS hits an additional target, if the tank hasn't been using AoE abilities, or he doesn't have any AoE abilities at a low level, then aggro is just a pain in the butt. So I like that Final Fantasy XIV doesn't make you play that stupid aggro juggling act. Like, it's not something you have to worry about. The mechanics in Final Fantasy XIV that I've seen, or that I've seen other people see by watching videos on YouTube, is to me, it just enhances the gameplay. It doesn't detract from it. And that's nice. Good. We gotta get back some stolen stuff. So I've been talking a lot about DPS rotations and game abilities and how Final Fantasy XIV feels as compared to WoW. And I guess that has a lot to do with what I like about MMOs and mobile, and not mobile, but massive RPG gaming. And that's dungeon diving. I love dungeon diving in World of Warcraft. To me, that was the most fun. So I love that in Final Fantasy XIV as well. And that's kind of the content I gravitate towards. This main story quest that I'm doing right now, that I'm trying to get done as fast as possible, to me is not super engaging. When I do the actual cutscenes, right? When I see the cutscenes, or when I see the voice acting, when the story is presented in a way to where I don't have to read blocks of text, I enjoy it. But when it's presented to me in blocks of text that I have to read, it loses my attention really fast. And that's ironic coming from a person who loves to read. This just doesn't read like a good book. I don't know how else to describe it, but I read a lot of books. A lot, all the time. And this main story quest, when you're having to read the text that you read, it does not come across like a very entertaining, engaging, good book. It just loses my attention. And I just can't wait to get through it so I can actually start doing stuff I really care about. And then I come across a cool cutscene, right? Where the Scions are attacked, right? And I'm seeing Benfilia get taken prisoner, right? And then when Sid gets his memory back in the beginning of this stream. So, like, seeing some cutscenes is really cool, and it really brings Final Fantasy to life. And the main story quest is suddenly interesting again, and I really like it. Gotta talk to this guy. Or girl. Not sure. Guy or girl? I think it's a guy. What do you guys think? Looks like a guy to me. Or a very old woman. I don't know why I'm obsessing over this right now. But for some reason it's really important to me. I don't know why. Anyways, moving on. Oh, I know why. It always bugged me in World of Warcraft when the NPCs, characters in the game, had such ambiguous faces. You couldn't even tell what they were, right? And so your brain is struggling to make sense of the story, right? And so you assign meaning to things based on your own filters, of course, right? Who you are and how you were raised, or whatever other filters you've got. But like in your brain, in the back of your mind, you're assigning meaning to certain characters based on how they look, right? So in World of Warcraft, when a lot of the NPCs were just badly designed characters and their faces were so ambiguous, it's just like you couldn't tell who or what they were supposed to be, whether they were happy or sad or anything. It's just, the story became so blah just because you couldn't get into the characters. So just now, that person's face I was talking to, it's just their face was so blah, just, I guess a part of me was like, does it tell me? Edelweiss. There we go. Good thing I read the quest text. Not forgotten my mother's favorite flower. Okay. Cool. I passed the test, guys. I read the quest text and I figured out which answer to give. Pretty basic stuff. But yeah, see, like, his face, like, to me, my brain is saying, oh, a young kid. Seems like he's in a position of some importance. But he's talking about his mother, so maybe his mother's like a lieutenant or something. And so, like, my brain's already drawing connections between the character and what's special about him, right? And so, like, he has check marks in my mind, right? And I'm like, oh, so he is this person in the story. But when the face of the person is ambiguous and you can't tell what expression they have, it just takes all meaning of the story away. So I guess seeing that guard's face in just a minute ago, it was kind of triggering me because I was like, man, I hate that. I hate that in World of Warcraft when I couldn't get into the story because it just... something that simple, you know? Like, you shouldn't be able to pull me away from the story with something that dumb. Okay, so I do a decent amount of damage. But then again, everyone doing the main story quest has an easy time with all this stuff. Like, nobody ever really struggles with any of this. Not even when I played it years back. I mean, I know they've made it a bit easier now than it used to be, so people could get to the good content at the end of the game, but at the same time, even then, like, nobody ever struggled with this stuff. These fights were always super easy. The challenge is not in the questing in the game, sadly. I mean, I wish there was a bit more challenge in the questing in the game. I'd maybe get a little more invested, but it's pretty simple, pretty easy. Hmm. Okay, pressing matter, yes. There's an investigator running around accusing people, and they're all getting killed off, and he doesn't have proof. He's technically obeying the rules, but I think there's something wrong with him. Help me investigate this investigator. I'm pretty sure that's what the story is. And then when we go investigate him, it comes out he's a dragon. Spoiler alert. Spoiler. Spoiler. Alright. Oh my goodness. His name, Harshafant. Harshafont. Harshafont. I'm telling you, man, these names. Like, look at this. Corinthiao. Is it Corinthiao? Is the I silent? Corinthiao? Yale, right? Or Yale. Whatever. Trying to pronounce these names is real fun. Harshafant. I gotta speak with some people. Nin, or Nine, Krevlin, and Forlamort. Alright, well the icons are on the map, so I can just follow the map. I just realized that. He's up north. Inside the city still, I think. Where it looks like it's on some sort of bridge or something. On the wall. This wall reminds me of Game of Thrones. Yes, it does. This big castle with this huge wall. And then the frost everywhere. The winter is coming. Right? I just... Jon Snow. Like, this is what I saw in my mind when I read Game of Thrones, the books, before I saw the series. Right? When the... Jon Snow going to the wall, when it was described like this big stone castle with this big courtyard and snow everywhere, it's just like, this is what I saw in my mind right here, basically, when I read Game of Thrones. Jon Snow, the winter is coming. It's not the winter is coming, it's just winter is coming. I don't know why I added the... You know, I lost interest in Game of Thrones after two things happened. So I was reading the book series, and I think I was 3 books in, and two things happened. Can you guys guess what 2 things happened that made me lose interest in Game of Thrones? If you guessed Red Wedding, you are correct. The Red Wedding made me instantly hate the story. When I was reading the books and the Red Wedding happened, I got so mad. I was furious how that happened. And it was just so nonsensically brutal that, like, I couldn't stop thinking about it for so long. It was like a nightmare in my mind forever. It was just so gross. My brain didn't want to believe it. Like, it was just so beyond wrong. What level is this fate? 36, I'm not interested. I couldn't make sense of it. My brain just didn't want to believe it. I don't want to spoil it for you guys if you haven't seen Game of Thrones, you're planning on watching it, or if you're interested in the books or whatnot. So I won't spoil it for you, but Red Wedding made me really lose interest in the books. I lost all interest after that. Sadly. Because I really was into it up until that point. But Red Wedding killed it for me. And then the second thing that really killed it for me after Red Wedding was the girl. My favorite character in the series was the little girl, the younger sister. I should be more specific. What's her name again? What was the name? Jon Snow. It wasn't the Snow family, though. Jon Snow was his name, but he didn't share the last name as the family. I can't remember the last name of the main family right now. It's like I'm drawing a blank on it. I should remember. But anyways, the younger sister. The one who became the assassin. Yes, big spoiler, sorry. She becomes an assassin. But yes, the younger sister who became an assassin. When she lost her sight. That was a big twist for me. And I don't want to give too much away. But basically, when she goes blind... I think that's the end of the book, and you don't find out what else happens to her until the next book, right? But by that point, because it was in the same book as the Red Wedding, so the same book, she becomes an assassin, or she at least tries to become an assassin, and then she makes this big mistake and she goes blind, right? They take her sight, right? And it's to teach her a lesson, basically. But I didn't know that. And it's just, it like destroyed my will to continue reading the series. The Red Wedding happened, and I was so mad. And then towards the end of that book, she loses her sight, and then it's like, stay tuned. You know what I mean? So you're supposed to continue reading to find out what else happens. But I was just like, I don't want to get attached to more characters and just watch them die horrible deaths, right? I don't want to see young mothers who had just gotten pregnant get stabbed in the belly over and over. Gross. Oh my god. I can't get that image out of my head. If you haven't seen Game of Thrones, The Red Wedding, then consider yourself lucky, man. It'll stick with you. And not in a good way. But yeah, it was just too brutal for me. I lost interest in the series after those two things. So I stopped reading. My wife really got into the TV series, of course. She watched the episodes. And so I saw them, and I was interested kind of in... I'm just going to travel. I watched episodes here and there, you know, because it's interesting when you read a book series to see it come to life visually, right? And see how the TV episode compares with the image that you came up with in your mind when you were reading the books, which is kind of why I love the Harry Potter movie series, but also hated it at the same time. The movies, to me, did not do the books justice for Harry Potter. And I know there's lots of Harry Potter fans out there who love both the books and the movies. But if you've read the Harry Potter book and you watch the movies, and you didn't get the chance to watch all the movies in like a binge watch and get it all out of the way at once, but you watched each movie as it came out when you were reading the books, then you probably understand what I'm talking about. It was just very frustrating watching the movies and being like, that's not how it happened, and they missed so many critical things. Like, it was just very unsatisfying. It was very frustrating as a person who loved the Harry Potter books, seeing the stuff they got wrong, right? The little details they didn't bother to pay attention to, which is very frustrating, and I did not enjoy that. But at the same time, I loved watching the Harry Potter movies because it took what was in my mind and gave it a visual reality. So, for instance, some of the things I loved, my favorite parts of the movies, right, and how it actually made the books better for me, was Quidditch. Anyone who loves Harry Potter loves Quidditch. Okay? Quidditch, for me, was really cool in the books. I liked it, but I didn't love it. The books made me fall in love with it. Like, Quidditch came alive when you watched the movies. Oh my goodness, the movies did such a good job on the Quidditch games. I loved Quidditch because of the movies. And it took something from the books that I liked and turned it into something that I loved. And so I appreciated that about the Harry Potter movie series. It took that and made it even better. So it did that right? They got Quidditch right. They did a good job on Quidditch. They totally made that better. Another thing that the movies did right with Harry Potter is the... Ooh, I gotta be careful here. I don't want to give too many spoilers away. And I do care about this a lot more than Game of Thrones, because I'm a Harry Potter fan. So I don't want to give too much away. There's a scene with Dumbledore and Harry Potter in a cave. And some water. And some bad things that are chasing them. In the movie, that scene was one of the best scenes I'd ever seen in any movie, and it's still one of the best scenes I've ever seen in any movie. That shot of the fire and the dark black water, and that shot where it like pans out and you get to see it, and it's, oh my goodness, man, that shot was amazing. I can still recall it in my mind. It just, I can see it. I've watched it so many times. That is one of my favorite moments in all of the Harry Potter movies, is that one scene with Harry Potter and Dumbledore in that cave. That was such a cool moment. They did a really good job on that in the movies. We're gonna do this fight really quick. So, Harry Potter got Quidditch right. They did a good job on that. Okay, gotta report back. But if I remember right, there's some things around here to kill. So I gotta kill Taurus, and I believe they're close by. Actually, let's look again. It says they are in Providence Point here. If I remember right, they're either northeast or in a cave somewhere. There's not very many of them, and they're hard to find. So they did Quidditch. The movies for Harry Potter did a good job on that. I loved it. Also, there's a fight between Dumbledore and... Hold on while I remember his name. He's the ultimate bad guy. He's like one of the most villainous villains in any movie series ever. Super creepy. Voldemort. Don't know why I couldn't remember that name. Maybe it's because it's been a while since I've seen a Harry Potter movie. Like, it's been a minute. I haven't watched Harry Potter in a while. But, is this the place where we go? Those are red horned ogres. No Tauruses. Not seeing any Taurus. I don't think we're going to find Taurus in here. I think we should go look at the last location, which is honestly where I thought they were, but I had to check these. I don't want to backtrack. So I think the Taurus is down here. And if not down here, I think they're around here. One of these hidden cave areas. So let's go find the Taurus and get that hunting log finished. So Quidditch. What else? What else? You got the cave scene. And then the fight between Dumbledore and Voldemort. Specifically, the fight between Dumbledore and Voldemort that happens in the Ministry of Magic, as Harry Potter is under attack by the crazy lady. Oh, her name starts with a B, I think. I can't remember her name right now. She meets her end in the end in a very satisfying way, but I can't remember her name right now. Something... Oh, she kills Sirius Black. I know that. It's one of the reasons I hate her. But the person who played her in the movies did such a good job. Oh my gosh. Really made you hate the character, which is good because you're supposed to hate the character. Like, she's written that way in the books. But at the same time, like, it was very well acted. She really embraced the character. Did an excellent job. Can't remember the name of the actress right now. But she did a great job as the character in Harry Potter. But my three favorite things from the movies that were done really well. Okay, I should say four, because I haven't mentioned my next favorite thing. My three that I've mentioned so far was Quidditch, the cave scene, and then the fight between Dumbledore and Voldemort. My fourth favorite thing about the Harry Potter movie series is Hermione. Who does not love Hermione? The actress that played Hermione really brought that character to life in a way that made the books better. When I reread the books later, I saw Hermione in my head. I didn't like the actor they chose as Harry Potter. I didn't like the actor they chose as Ron Weasley. To me, when I read the books, I saw something different. In my head, I saw different characters. So, but they nailed Hermione spot on, man. Hermione was just as good, if not better, in the movies than she was in the books. So that was something I loved about the movies. Really brought Hermione to life and made her as amazing of a character as I felt she was in the books. So yeah, she was my favorite character after that. The movies really did Hermione well. Did a really good job on her character. So those are my four favorite things about Harry Potter. The movies. If I had to go on and on about Harry Potter and the books and some of my favorite things in the books, we'd be here a while, because I have a lot more favorite things about the books. Because then I start talking about the story. I start talking about the story and the plot and how It was all brought together in like this circular story that all culminated in the end with this twist that you didn't see coming with Horcruxes, right? And Harry Potter plays a very special part in the Horcrux story. Horcrux part of the story, I guess. But anyways, he's critical to the story and how Horcruxes and Voldemort and how all that works in a way that I did not see coming. And so anyways, my favorite thing about the books, if I had to pick one favorite thing about the books, it would be how the story hides that from you. And yet at the same time, it's so like in your face obvious. And you're like, how did I not see that coming? How did I not think of that? But when you're reading the books and that all comes and is revealed in the end of the last book, that's very satisfying. The conclusion of the story is very satisfying. And how all that comes together. And Dumbledore. And like how he plans it. Search the shipments. Sure, we'll start with House Hollenart. I found a rosary. Oh, if I remember right, I found a rosary in all three. Yep. They're all being framed, and they're trying to incite discord, I guess, between the houses. Alright, I gotta show him to this guy. So yeah, he's trying to cause trouble, this investigator. I told ya. I told ya. Now we gotta go confront him and watch him turn into a dragon, then we gotta kill him. And then Biggs and Wedge come into the problem. Somehow, some way. Somebody's being framed. I have to go save him from being framed. I found rosaries. He's not guilty. It's all set up. Excuse me. Alright, so what have I talked about? I've talked about Harry Potter, I've talked about movies, I've talked about stories, Brandon Sanderson, I've talked about science fiction and fantasy, I've talked about Harry Potter, I've talked about Final Fantasy XIV and WoW, some of the things that Final Fantasy XIV does really well as compared to WoW. Like, I know I'm asking for a lot, right? I'm a new YouTuber. I just got started. I shouldn't be expecting too much. But when I watch other people stream and they get to interact with their chat, like it feels good. Like, and I'm just like, that's what I want. That's what I want to stream. So while I'm streaming right now, like I keep looking at the chat and I'm like, man, I wish I had people to talk to. So someday, I'm looking forward to having enough people watching my stream to interact with where I could actually talk with them and interact with them, and that sounds fun. So, if anyone watches this and catches me saying what I'm saying right now, just consider sticking around and saying hi in chat. I'm really looking forward to... The charges are false. Yes, I know the charges are false. I'm here to save you before he has you put to death for a false charge. I'm on to you, Mr. Inquisitor. You are not who you seem. You're working for the Empire, taking us down from within. You want to fight? It's a fight you're gonna get. Get him, guys. Get him. Okay. Trying to draw him over here. There we go. Spread the diseases. Trying to do some AoE damage. Get him, guys. Alright, that's one down. Alright, see the dots? A couple more seconds left. I really like this UI. I did the best I could. I couldn't run it. just, yeah, say hi in chat. I'd love to interact, man. I'd love to just talk and chill. And looking forward to someday having some people that watch the stream. And I can interact with them in chat. I'm really looking forward to that. Meanwhile, I have to think of things to talk about. Like Harry Potter, World of Warcraft, and I guess I could talk about my MMO gaming experience, right? I could talk about World of Warcraft, which I already did. I could talk about some of the other MMOs I've played. Um, Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 1. If anyone has played Guild Wars 1 was entertaining and engaging in a way that I feel like World of Warcraft's never been able to do. The way you built your character and you selected your abilities. There was some real customization available for your character and your combat style and how you wanted your character to fight. And it felt like you were building something. Like your character was unique to you and powerful. When you chose right and you built right, your character felt powerful. And there was this real sense of progression that so many games try to capture and they fail at. Just because it's a really difficult thing to get right. But Guild Wars 1 really did a good job on progression and making your character choices feel powerful. And the reason for that is because so many, unfortunately, it's a bad thing, so many of the abilities in Guild Wars 1 either were bad abilities, right? So you had only a few choices to make that were optimal. Everything else was suboptimal and wasn't going to work well. So either, for some of the classes, there was only a few ways you could build your character to be very strong, and otherwise it just wasn't going to work well. And so as you started the game, before you knew what to do, you were making wrong choices, and your character felt weak, right? And you felt like you couldn't do certain quests, and blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly, and I'm talking about my experience as a fresh player to Guild Wars 1, back in the day before there was a YouTube, right? Back in the day before there was a whole lot of guides to games available from so many content creators. Like, back then you figured it out for yourself, for the most part. Just figured it out for yourself. Sorry, my dog's trying to get my attention. He's shaking his collar and it makes this jingling noise. He does that when he wants my attention. And I look at him, because I looked at him just now, and he's looking at me like, what? I'm like, you asked for me. Like, you jingled your collar. What do you want? So he won't tell me. He just wants to jingle his collar and look at me like I'm supposed to know what he wants. I think he just wants a T-R-E-A-T. I cannot say it. It's a T-R-E-A-T. Right? Right? I can't say it because then he'll think I'm going to give him one. He wants them all day long, but that's not healthy. I can't give him those all day long. He gets them for doing things, like as rewards. But he wants them all day. I think, honestly, he just wants one of those. So he'll get one later. Probably after his dinner. Oh, he's growling at the front door. I know, Mommy is not coming home from work yet. It's too early, unless you got off early. Why are you growling at the front door, Theodore? Yes, my dog's name is Theodore. It fits in perfectly. He looks like a Theodore. Why am I going this way? I don't know why. I assumed I was supposed to go down there. Oh, I was. I just left here, right? I was supposed to turn in the quest there. I did. Now I gotta go up here. Okay, so let's teleport and then move. I was just heading towards the town for some reason. It's Theodore. I'm gonna blame Theodore. It's his fault. You hear that, Theodore? It's your fault, buddy. Okay. Let's go. Can I go out this way? I think I can. Yes. Okay. So I did not find those things that I was looking for that one time. I think honestly they're going to be over here. Either down in there or in there. Those trowel thing or whatever they were called. For the hunting log. But anyways. So Guild Wars 1 did a great job on making your character feel powerful, and then also the progression. And like I was saying, it sometimes for some of the classes it wasn't because they did a good job on building the characters and the abilities. It was because so many of the abilities just weren't any good, right? And so you were only supposed to use them until you found something better. But some of the descriptions for the abilities were not, how should I put it, adequate to explaining how well they would work together as like a sort of combination, right? Because you were supposed to combo skills together. Some skills made the enemy bleed, and then some of your abilities would give you benefits if you hit a bleeding enemy, and so like there was abilities that would combo together, and so you could build these really powerful character builds. And it's just every ability complemented the other ability, and it just felt very good once you had a full complete build going. But like until then, it just really felt like you were so weak, which is what made it so enjoyable when you finally got the build online and your character just like took off and your damage skyrocketed and you were suddenly so survivable and tanky, and like you could heal so easily, and like what the quests you were struggling with a second before all of a sudden are easy in comparison, and all because you spent like a few hours and you put a lot of effort and work in, and you built this character, or you chose this build or whatever. And so like when you made character choices, they had such a massive impact on the game, and your character was so much more effective because of your character choices that it felt really good, right? So Guild Wars did something great with their game where your character choices felt like they had a massive impact, and you were suddenly a lot more effective because of choices that you had made for your character. And so some of that was because you were really ineffective, really bad as a character, until you earned those abilities. And some of it was because they designed the classes or the jobs or whatever really well. So I remember vividly, and the reason I'm talking about this is because of this memory that I have of playing Guild Wars 1, playing a warrior, right? And getting the build all wrong. Right, and I was too squishy. I didn't have enough tanky or healing abilities, and so I could do damage, but my abilities didn't complement each other. I had a bunch of hard-hitting abilities that didn't set up the damage to boost the damage of the next one. So they all ended up doing about the same amount of damage. When you build the build correctly, you end up doing a crap ton more damage, or basically a lot more damage, because you set it up correctly, right? But I wasn't doing that. And so I was like leveling up this character, and I was like halfway through the game, and I hit this wall, and I just couldn't progress the quests anymore, and I was struggling with it. I was getting so frustrated, and I failed the same quest a gazillion times, and I was like, what did I do wrong, right? And I was, come to find out, I had chosen the wrong abilities, and I had built the character wrong. Now back then, there was no respec. I could not just respec. I had to start over, start a warrior from scratch, and make different choices, and level up the character and build the character differently. I couldn't just respec, and like the games were more unforgiving back then in that way. And so I decided to try a different class. I think I tried Ranger, the pet class. And that class was easy mode compared to the warrior, right? The pet helped you. I think I chose a tank pet, and it kept aggro off of me, and just like the game was easy mode after that. I leveled that character up to max level fairly quickly, fairly easily. I just felt really strong, but it was also a little too easy. And so I remember thinking, I want to do another warrior, but this time I want to make the build correctly. And so I spent a lot of effort. And what I did was I did research. Now back then I couldn't go on YouTube and just look up a game guide and figure out how to build a warrior correctly. So what I did was I went to some of the high-level warriors I saw in town hanging out, and if they were inspectable, right? Because in the UI you could make it to where you couldn't be inspected, but if they didn't do that, then you could inspect them because they like to show off their outfits or the best gear they had or whatever, and you could see what abilities they had chose. and I mimicked and copied their build. So I found a couple of really successful warriors. I'm trying to find the front door, but I missed it. I don't know where the front door is. Can I just jump off this thing? Where is... Is it up here? I feel like I'm missing it. I feel like it's super visible and obvious and I just missed it. Alright, let's go back in here. No, let's go around and go down. Yeah. What did I miss? Is it one of the quest givers and I just didn't talk to him yet? No, I don't see any quest givers. So in Guild Wars 1... Man, I feel like I'm missing something super obvious. There we go. Finally. It's the cook. And now we come to the especially boring parts of the main story quest in Final Fantasy XIV. The mindless fetch quests. Slay a spotted mud puppy down here. Okay. Now, they may seem like meaningless quests, fetch quests, and they're really boring, but Final Fantasy XIV did do something really cool where they built these quests to help you out. So for instance, if you look at the hunting log, a lot of the time when you're doing the main story quest, it's going to lead you right next to one of these. And so you're going to be able to complete the hunting log as you complete the main story quest because it was all designed to complement each other. They designed this hunting log, which just seems like something arbitrary and something extra you do to get experience. It was meant to work in conjunction with your exploration in the story quest. Just another way for you to feel like you were contributing to your character. So they did a good job in Final Fantasy XIV by designing the whole leveling experience, not just around the main story quest, but like all these other features like the hunting log to complement it. And so they designed it to where when you go here, you're not just going here to slay a spotted mud puppy. You're going here and you're going to find something for the hunting log. Right? So they did a good job. Oops. Alright, let's use this. Just a guess. I think these guys forgot to use their quest item, and they were trying to kill this thing the old-fashioned way. Silly guys. Please. Yes. Excellent. There is no teleport there, so I have to just travel back. Alright, so Final Fantasy XIV did a good job on that. But in Guild Wars 1, so I looked at the warrior classes, I had looked at the guys in town, and I found out some of their builds, right? And I copied those. So I played over, I started this new character, and I made the right choices. And all of a sudden, I was breezing through content, right? I hit that wall that I'd hit before, and it was so easy, and I was like, wow, this character's strong. Way stronger than my ranger. Like, I thought the game was easy with my ranger, but now I'm playing the warrior, this class I had so much trouble with before, and everything's easy. And it's just because of a couple of different choices that I made, right? So, with Guild Wars 1 back in the day, it really felt like you had to pay attention to your choices. You really had to think about your choices for your character and the build. And you could mess it up completely and then not even be able to finish. Like literally hit this wall where you couldn't continue because it was too difficult because you had chosen wrong. But when you chose right, there was this feeling of success and progress, and it felt great. So Guild Wars 1 sticks in my mind as a game that did a really good job with that. And I have not felt that feeling of building a character and feeling like I had made a choice that was so impactful for the character that if I had made the choice wrong, I would have been stuck. Right? So there's a lot of what they call hand-holding in games nowadays, and games are more forgiving. and they hold your hand, so to speak. And that basically just means, like, it's more forgiving. If you make the wrong choice, so what? It's not a big deal. You'll still be able to finish the game. It's really not going to be that challenging. So there's portions of the game that are meant to be challenging and portions of the game that are meant to be easy. So like Final Fantasy XIV, for instance, this main story quest stuff, all these fights that I've been doing are meant to be super easy. I'm not meant to be failing any of this stuff. It's meant to be super, super easy because they want the main story quest, the main part of the game, to be so easy anyone can do it. Right? They want everyone to be able to enjoy the main story. Like the main part of the game. Because Final Fantasy has always been about playing a single player game, experiencing the story, and getting that completion, that satisfaction of the story. However, there is content in Final Fantasy XIV that's supposed to be difficult, right? So they do have group content, trials and extreme trials and stuff at the end of the game that requires really smart decision making, really learning the fights, really making good character build choices, and learning your character's DPS rotation, and the most effective abilities to use at certain times, right? And if you don't know all that stuff, you're going to have a hard time finishing the more difficult content in the game in Final Fantasy XIV. So, I guess what I'm getting at is, I'm not really getting that feeling that I got in Guild Wars 1 from Final Fantasy XIV right now, because I'm not at content, I'm not doing things that require me to make those choices or to put that much effort into the game. So I'm not really getting that feeling of progression for the character, or like character choice really matters. I'm not getting that right now. I probably won't be getting that until I get to the very end game and I'm doing stuff that's very challenging. But Guild Wars, it just sticks in my mind as a game that really did a good job on character progression and making character choice matter. Character build mattered a lot. Sorry, I just saw Sassy Lady. Hey, Sassy Lady, how you doing? I just saw the chat. I got so used to not checking the chat. I haven't checked it in a while. I was just talking about Guild Wars 1. And character progression and like how MMOs play. It says run. There's a house. It's a gravestone. Is a character. It's a car. House. Huh. Alright, well, Sassy, you have this tendency in chat to use emotes. And, well, I think they're really cute. And I think you're really good at using emotes. I am not good at interpreting emotes. So half the time, I have no idea what you're saying. Sorry. I do not understand emotes. That being said, I love that you use emotes so much, just because, yeah, it's really cute. So as I was saying with Guild Wars 1, character progression, character build and choice. It's really important. Alright, well now he wants something. Theodore wants to go outside. 1 second, I'm going to put Theodore outside. Alright, we're back. So, I gotta slay ice sprites for their cores. easy. I love how you don't have to go and loot things in this game. Absolutely love that. I love that loot is automatic. That is such a cool thing. And it's such a small thing too. Like I was saying with World of Warcraft, there's so many little things that you have to worry about with the game. Final Fantasy just helps you really focus on the stuff that matters. You shouldn't have to run up and right click on a body to loot it. It's just why? Why is that such a big deal? I love that Final Fantasy lets you loot automatically. That's a nice feature. So, okay, so I talked about Guild Wars 1 and my experience with the warrior, you know, leveling that up, and the character choice and all that. Now, Guild Wars 2. There's something similar in Guild Wars 2. Like, you can build your character wrong, and if you build your character wrong in Guild Wars 2, you're not going to be very effective. Your build's going to suck. You're not going to be able to progress in the game as easily. It's more forgiving. It's a lot more forgiving than Guild Wars 1. But there is still that element that they chose to stick with character build and character choice matter. And it does a lot. So it is still a thing in Guild Wars 2. Not as much, right? Not as much as Guild Wars 1. But I did play a lot of Guild Wars 2, and I did like how varied. Now, here's the thing. The main difference between Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 1 is the not depth, but the variety with character builds. There is so many more abilities in Guild Wars 2 than there was in Guild Wars 1. Like, so there's so many more different builds that are possible. Alright, well, this is the bad dude. I gotta pause for 1 second. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about the wait. Let's do this. Sid, you should be concerned about the Inquisitor. We've been tracking this guy the entire time. Sid hasn't been paying attention, guys. Sid has been doing his own thing. He's still getting his memory back. Says, as I was saying with Guild Wars 2, there's just so many more abilities in Guild Wars 2. Like, so many. It's a bit overwhelming, actually. Like, you can get a functional build going in Guild Wars 2 pretty easily, but fine-tuning it and getting it perfect, it requires some research and effort. Definite effort to get your perfected build in Guild Wars 2. So, on the one hand, I really like Guild Wars 2. I like the story. I like how the story is presented. I like the characters and the builds and the choices. And as a game, I just love Guild Wars 2. I played a lot of it. It was really fun. But I do have to say, it lost me. I lost interest. And I'm trying to remember why. Are they in here? I think they're in here. It lost me. It couldn't keep my attention forever. I'm trying to remember why. I think it goes back to that problem of me mainly being a solo player and concerned with topping DPS charts in dungeons, which is honestly, not even joking, that's where most of my enjoyment of the games came from. In Guild Wars 1, it was like this challenge that I just had to beat because it beat me. Like, I was good at games. I enjoyed games, and it was the first game I'd played where I had made wrong choices that resulted in me not even being able to play the game. I got stuck. And so, like, there was this part of me that just had to beat it. There was this part of me that had to do it right and overcome it and beat it and just prove to myself that I could do it, you know? Like, I'm not bad at games, I promise. You know what I mean? So, okay. Hard to see the little red dot, but... is it on the other side of the wall? Is it outside? It says outside Whitebrim in the text right here, so I guess I gotta go outside the walls and go around. I guess I could have jumped over the wall, but there's no guarantee. I wish I could fly, that would be nice. No, guys. Okay. Now we're headed in the right direction. So in Guild Wars 2, I played the game before the expansion, right? So there's been several expansions for Guild Wars 2, and I played before the expansions, and I beat the game. It was a lot of fun. Let's go down. I'm not in combat yet. Okay, so I should be fine. I'm gonna wait till my HP comes back. Oh, this dude's having a bit of a problem. What? 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 I'm just standing. Oh. That sucks, guys. I don't know how I aggroed. I literally didn't do a single thing. I was just standing there. Games, right? Video games. You never know what's going to happen. But Guild Wars 2, the depth of the character builds was a bit overwhelming. There's a lot to learn. I played Wizard, and they have this element switching mechanic where... Oh, let's go. Oh, that's right, you can't teleport there. You gotta run all the way from Camp Dragonhead. That sucks. Terrible way to die. I guess I was just taking a big risk by jumping down like that, knowing I was going to be at 1 health and there was a fight going on that I could see happening. But I thought I wouldn't aggro if I didn't attack. I guess I was wrong. So this is my fault, guys. This is totally my fault. I wasn't cautious enough, right? For future reference, if you see a fight going on in the place you're about to jump to, and you know you're going to be at 1 health when you land, just play it safe. Don't be like me. Don't assume that you're not going to pull aggro if you don't attack. Just play it safe. Anyways, Guild Wars 2, the elemental switching, right? So you'd be fire, and you'd press a button, kind of like the ultimate button, and it would just switch stances. So you'd switch to ice, and then you use your ice abilities, and you'd switch to earth, and use earth abilities, and then water. Or no, it was ice and water, depending on whether you're using a staff or a dagger or a sword. So for every class in Guild Wars 2, depending on what weapon you have equipped, it changes your abilities that you get to use. So it's all weapon based. That being said, you've also got 2 bars of abilities. You've got your weapons abilities on the left bar, and on the right bar you've got abilities that you can switch out, kind of like sigils or magic spells and stuff like that. And so you earn those throughout the game. You can buy those with points that you earn, and those are kind of like talent points, right? So the weapon abilities are the same for everybody. What differs and what changes with the build is the abilities on the right bar. So when you equip a weapon, the left bar changes. Sorry, I was focused. And you change your build with the right bar. So that's got a level of difficulty all on its own, right? Because there's so many different abilities you can equip on the right bar. And every class has multiple weapons that you can equip on the left. And many times you can dual wield different weapons on the left bar. And you can equip multiple weapons on the left bar. So for instance, let's say you're playing as a warrior. You've got something like 8 different weapons you can use, and you can mix and match those weapons to get different effects. So let's say you're playing a rogue, same thing. You can use 2 swords. You're going to have dual wield sword abilities. But if you dual wield a sword and a dagger, they're going to share certain abilities. So you're going to have, let's say, 5. I got to concentrate here, actually. 1 second while I do this. This guy died. So I guess we're going to help him here. Alright. So I'm not just attacking mine, I'm attacking his as well. That sucks. But looks like he needs the help. He's almost dead. Alright, we did it. Let's go in here. So, let's say you're playing a warrior. If you've got a sword in your right hand and a dagger in your left. I can't remember all the weapon types, so if I get this wrong and you've played Guild Wars 2, please forgive me. I'm just using these as examples. Let's say there's 5 abilities in your left bar. 2 of those abilities, the 2 first ones, are going to be for sword. And those are going to be the same whether you're using a sword in your right hand, or a dagger in your right hand, or a mace in your right hand. Those 2 abilities are always going to be the same because you're always having a sword in your right hand, okay? Now, those abilities, the last 2 abilities of the 5 on your left bar are going to change depending on what you have in your offhand. In your offhand, if you've got... I don't think this is the way we need to go. Yeah, there was a back entrance that I should have gone through. This back gate. So if I've got a dagger in my offhand, then the last 2 abilities would be dagger abilities, and the middle ability would be a combination of sword and dagger. So this middle ability, let's use these 5 abilities here. So this middle ability would change to a different ability depending on what my offhand was. Okay, so if I've got a sword and a sword, then I'd have sword abilities, and the dual wield sword ability here. If I had dagger and sword, I'd have sword, dagger, and then sword and dagger right here. So this middle ability changes depending on what you've got in your offhand, as well as these abilities, right? So the complexity really kicks in, and you feel like, wow, it's a little overwhelming, honestly. There's a lot to consider, and you try all the different weapons, right? So it's a bit complicated. Long story short, you get the hang of that, okay? Let's say you get the hang of the weapons, and you figure out what weapon style that you like, and you pick your favorite weapons for whatever class you're using. Let's say you're using a wizard, and actually not a wizard, it's a bad example. It's the example I'm getting to. I'm building up to that. Let's say you're using a rogue, right? And you pick bow and dual wield daggers, right? So you've got two bars. So your left bar switches depending on when you switch weapons. Let's say you switch to your bow. You've got new abilities on your left bar. You switch to your double daggers, new abilities on your left bar. Your right bar abilities stay the same, whether you're switching weapons or not. So these abilities you can switch out at will, right? You can change your build, but when you're switching weapons, your right bar abilities stay the same, and your left bar abilities change depending on your weapons. Okay, so that's complicated, obviously. That's really complicated. Now, throw into the mix having 4 different elements. Okay, so not only do you have the ability to switch weapons, right, and all that complicated stuff I just talked about with switching weapons, now you also switch elements. So in basically, if you do the math, wizards have 4 times more, as many abilities and builds to consider as almost any other class in the game, because they switch elements. So not only do you switch weapons, you switch elements as well. And so when I'm using a staff as a wizard, I've got 4 bars as just the staff. And then when I switch to double daggers, I've got 4 bars as just double daggers. And that's just 2 of the weapon sets, and there's a lot more than 2. So man, learning that class, playing Guild Wars 2, learning to play the wizard, getting that rotation down and learning the abilities, and then building the character to where the right bar abilities complemented the left bar abilities, and I had the build, and that's probably one of the most complicated, difficult classes I've ever played in any game ever. Talk about difficult, man. Talk about difficult. So if you're looking for an MMO where character builds are a thing, and fine-tuning your build and learning the rotation, and you want some complexity and you're not getting that from Final Fantasy XIV or World of Warcraft, play yourself some Guild Wars 2. And on top of that, play yourself some Wizard. You will get as much complexity as you can handle, I promise you. So that's actually why I kind of lost interest in Guild Wars 2, is the complexity actually became a bit overwhelming. And I love complexity, I love difficulty and challenge. But even for me, man, I lost interest. Is this the guy? Yeah, I see a quest icon, but it's not the main story quest icon, so I think I'm in the wrong place. I'm not sure where I'm supposed to go. Actually, I'm a little bit lost. I'm a little bit lost, guys. Not gonna lie. Search the area southeast of White Brim Front. Okay, so I guess I'm supposed to go outside. Again. This map is a little bit... I guess I should zoom in to see it more clearly. It looks like it's inside, doesn't it? Right? It really looks like it's inside. What am I getting wrong? I don't know. I don't know. Let's go out the back entrance and look around. But yeah, Guild Wars 2, really fun. Really complex, really challenging. I loved... So, some things that I absolutely loved about Guild Wars 2. I did love the complexity. It was a bit overwhelming with Wizard, but if you're playing something other than Wizard, you'll have a good time. And it won't be too difficult. For instance, Warrior. Again, I leveled Warrior. In Guild Wars 2, Warrior is the class that I chose to take to max level, which at the time that I was playing was level 80, I believe. So anyways, took Warrior all the way to the max level. Eventually chose a Bleed build. Bleed build was really fun on Warrior. It was actually double sword, I believe. Double sword with... what else? Rifle, I think, or maybe bow. I think it was double sword and rifle. Anyways, it was a bleed build, and it was very satisfying to stack those bleeds as a warrior, because you could stack them to the point where something would just melt, and like you could just stop attacking, and over the next 3 or 4 seconds it would just disappear. And that was really satisfying, getting that build online and running. So I enjoyed that. and I enjoyed playing the warrior. It was a lot of fun. The combat in Guild Wars 2 is very intuitive. The rolling around, the action combat is probably the best action combat I've played in any MMO. And I've played almost every MMO ever released. So, Guild Wars 2 does a really good job in the action combat. Very satisfying, very fun. I think it's in here, guys, and I think I just missed it. I'm not entirely sure where it's in here, but I think it's in here, and I just missed it. I think I'm too tall. Search the area southeast of White Brim Front. What? Okay. It's not in here, is it? So if it's not in here, where is it? What am I missing? I swear it's inside the castle somewhere, because I was outside the castle. I didn't see it. What am I missing, guys? Am I gonna have to Google this thing? You gotta be kidding me. Why is this so impossible? It shouldn't be this hard, right? Alright, well, I guess I gotta Google this. But now I'm like, I'm not gonna be happy unless I figure it out. So, okay, hold on. I want to make sure I'm not showing my screen to everybody when I shouldn't be. So let's make sure I get this right. Okay, so all right, well, it said head outside town to find a snow mound. From what I read online. There it is. You know what I was looking at, guys? I was looking at Love's Hard Labor. Speak with Lawrence. That's what I was looking at. Why is Love's Hard Labor here? Did I accept this without meaning to? Yes, I did. I don't want to be on this quest. How did I get on that quest? Interesting. Mistakes were made. Mistakes were made. Alright, so this brings me back to memories of things I don't miss about MMOs like World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV. Something Guild Wars 2 gets right is the questing I was about to mention. The public quests that everyone joins in on. Search it. Yeah, I did search it. Oh no, I searched the mound and I found the box, and then I gotta search the box. Ugh. Anyways, the questing in Guild Wars 2 is phenomenal, right? The public quests, it guides you really well. It feels open world. It feels like you have freedom, right, to choose where to go and how to level your character, and it's just, I love the questing in Guild Wars 2. That is something they did very well. Dromont. Am I not going in the right way? Am I supposed to go down below? Is there a down below? No. Okay, so I just gotta go up top, I guess. Anyways. Yes, the questing in Guild Wars 2 is phenomenal. Really, really good. The leveling experience in Guild Wars 2, the action combat, that's all really good. So if you're tired of this fetch quest, blocks of text, meaningless, that I'm experiencing in Final Fantasy XIV right now, and that you experience even worse in World of Warcraft, check out Guild Wars 2. It's a nice change of pace, and it's very different from this sort of experience that I'm seeing right now. So if this bores you, what I'm going through right now, if this bores you, then Guild Wars 2 is likely to not be that way, because it's got a much better questing / leveling experience. That being said, it's a very different game. It's a very different game. Guild Wars 2 is so unique and different from World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV, right? That comparing Guild Wars 2 with either of those two games, with either of these two games, is not an ideal comparison, because it's so unique and different from World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy that it's a different genre in its own right, almost, right? It's still an MMO, and you still do a lot of the same things, but because the action combat and the questing and leveling experience is so unique, because the raids and the group dungeons and all that is so unique and different from what you experience in Final Fantasy XIV and WoW, you can't really compare the two. It's almost like apples to oranges. But I guess as far as comparing the experience of playing the game, if you've tried World of Warcraft and it bored you to tears, or you lost interest quickly, if you've tried Final Fantasy XIV, or you were thinking about trying Final Fantasy XIV and hoping that you would get a different experience from World of Warcraft, or vice versa, and you haven't tried Guild Wars 2, watch some videos of Guild Wars 2. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised, and it's free to play. Guild Wars 2 is free to play, so it's not going to cost you much to try it. And that being said, it is such a unique, different experience that I think you will enjoy it immensely. So I think here is the showdown in Final Fantasy XIV, back to present reality. Here's the showdown, I believe, where we're going to confront this bad Inquisitor. And he's going to turn into a dragon because we have got him cornered. Much like this expeditioner. Release her and come with us. Oh, we've got the squad with us. Silence, villain. I name thee heretic, murderer of Inquisitor Guilan and countless innocents. You are a traitor to Ishgard. You are beyond redemption. Oh, look at this dude. Look at his attitude. Oh, wow. This guy is a piece of work. Oh, wow. This is one evil dude, man. Putting innocent people to death, and then somehow able to sleep at night. His logic is flawed, but he had a way of justifying all of his actions. Where are you going? You're gonna try and fight these things all by yourself? Good luck, buddy. Meanwhile, this guy's coming after me. That's alright, I can take him on. He's almost dead already. Alright, back on the main target. Come on. Energy drain, fester. Let's take him out. Oh wow, there he did. He just turned. Big bad dragon dude. It's an illusion? If you say so. It's pretty realistic to me. He seems a lot more tanky. And he's doing some pretty good damage. If it's an illusion, man, it's pretty darn good illusion. He's down to half health. Man, I am taking some damage. Yikes. Okay, so I gotta take this guy out. Ads. Ads. Alright. Wow, lots of ads. Oh, man. Get off me. Alright, so let's dot up the main target and use a Bane to spread the love. Looks like we lost one of our allies. Dead. Alright, so main guy's about to go down. Who did we lose? We kept Jomont. Whoever else was with us is gone. Those two archers are gone. Let's see. My glamour's dispelled. It was just a glamour? That was pretty convincing as a glamour, buddy. Sorry about that, I had a phone call. Alright. So he's coughing and wheezing, and he says, you may not recall the many Ishgardians I have sentenced, but the families of the dead will never forget. Blood has been repaid with blood, and for that I am content. I'm not content. What are you talking about? Blood repaid with blood and you're content. Dude, just die. Just die already. Ugh. Good riddance. Evil. Gone from the world. Yeah, leave the body for the crows. You're right, he doesn't deserve burial. Yes, it is past time I was reunited with my airship, and I do resent having to take care of your Inquisitor problem for you. You should have been able to take care of this for yourself. I'm trying to save the world from the primals, and here you have me running around chasing Inquisitors. Just lead me to Sid's airship already, come on. I guess I'm just triggered. They did a good job on the writing for that quest. He was a really hateable character. They did a good job of making me dislike that character quite a bit. You know what? Let's get credit. I don't know how much credit I'll get, but a little bit. Free seals. Why not? I'm used to using spells dismounting you. but that's not a thing. It's probably in the settings somewhere. But finding that, goodness, good luck. I'll try to find it later, maybe. Auto dismount on using a skill. I think I've seen that somewhere. But where? There's a lot of settings in this game. I mean, that's a good thing, right? The ability to customize is a good thing, but you can get a little lost in the settings. Not sure. Alright, Alphanod. Where have I been, Alphanod? Yeah, I helped slay the bad Inquisitor who was killing innocent people. Or convincing the government to kill their own innocent people. Either way, it's really bad. So I guess we're now gonna do the Stone Vigil. That's the next dungeon or duty. So let's go out here. Can I go this way? I think so. No. It's inside, right? Yeah, I think that's inside the walls. Okay, so let's go up here, speak with Dromont. Is he up? Yeah, he's on the 3rd floor, isn't he? Okay. Let's do the Stone Vigil. And then we're going to get Sid's airship back. And then I think a Realm Reborn quest finally really takes off. We start making some really good progress. And there's less filler quests like this. So I'm looking forward to getting to the meat of it and getting out of a Realm Reborn into the good stuff. Because this is like old school questing. Even MMO is really... Even WoW has gotten better. World of Warcraft isn't quite this bad. World of Warcraft in Classic is this bad. And in some of the older expansions it's this bad. But they've put a lot of work in World of Warcraft into making it a better leveling experience and questing experience in later expansions. So I'm sure that in Final Fantasy XIV, when I finally get to the expansion content, the questing is going to be better. That being said, having to go through this to get there, I'm going to be really happy that I don't have to do these type of old school filler quests anymore when I finally get past this. Okay. Thank you, thank you. Let's continue. Speak with Nathalion. Where is Nathalion? Oh, I bet he's up north. The Stone Vigil, I think the unlock for the Stone Vigil is up north. Northwest. No. There. Yep, he's up there. So that's going to unlock the Stone Vigil for me, and I should be able to do that, or queue for that dungeon. After we do the Stone Vigil, guys, and we complete that story quest and get Sid's airship back, and we go back to the Scions at the church, I believe. After I complete some of that, or maybe after I do the dungeon, before I go back to the church, I'm gonna call it quits for this stream. So the stream is gonna be ending after we do this next dungeon. But that being said, this next dungeon is pretty cool. So if you're interested in seeing a really fun dungeon run, with some really cool dragon fights, and especially a really good boss dragon fight at the end of it, stay tuned, because that's what you're about to get into in this next dungeon. This next dungeon's a pretty cool one, if I remember correctly. Let's do Stone Vigil right here. Well, I can do the Wanderer's Palace now, but I don't even know what that is. What does this say? Item level synced. All item levels will be adjusted to the level indicated. Okay. Kobold mining. If I remember right, the Wanderer's Palace is... Excuse me. I think this is the Tonberry dungeon, right? Isn't this the Tonberry dungeon? We're not. Is this something else? Not sure. Okay, 13-minute queue. Don't want to deal with that. Should I just heal? Do you guys want to see me heal in a dungeon? Tell you what. Since we're going to have to wait so long for that dungeon, it doesn't really seem worth it to me. And I'm kind of brain dead at the moment. The wife got home from work. That's part of what I had to pause for, is talking to her when she got home. So I kind of want to stop the stream, spend time with her. I missed her all day. So anyways, thank you all for checking this out. I'm happy that anyone took a look. And I am getting more views on these streams for Final Fantasy XIV, so I'm happy people are stopping by. Unfortunately, I'm not getting any really interaction in chat besides Sassy Lady, which is pretty awesome. I'm happy that she's in the chat, and always happy when she shows up. I'm lucky enough to have at least one person who's consistently there. But for all of you guys that are stopping in, checking it out, please just interact in chat, just say hi. It'd be nice to know that some people are interested in the content, at least. Interested in the game, interested in anything I have to say, just want to say hi. Anyways, is there a boss? Yes. Let's go ahead and kill this boss before I go. Right. I came over here so I could spread the dots to this thing that I picked up. Small dragonfly, but the dots did not transfer, so we're just gonna kill it the old-fashioned way. This boss is going down pretty fast. Oh, needs more dots. And I can use my burst window. Alright. That's most of our damage done. Now just ruin spam for a minute. Alright, we got another Eggy Assault 2. We should have Eggy Assault 1 coming up soon. There it is. We'll go ahead and do that. There's no point in dotting him, he's almost dead. So we'll just do a bunch of ruins until he's gone. Alright, into the fate. That's a lot more. Nice rewards on that. Alright, well, thank you everyone for checking out the stream. I'm going to head off now. I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.